Gimbu Kali's presentation was excellent. He's an expert on this gun issue here in Chicago, and I can talk. Maybe I'll talk about it early. Let me just bring Gimbu back so we can talk about these. I got some questions for him here. Gimbu, and here in Chicago, most of the victims of murder, gun murders in Chicago, are African American. You would think that we African Americans would demand concealed carry laws here in Chicago.
Because we have been simply bamboozled by the politicians and by elements like Jesse Jackson and Fowler Flager, who are talking all this anti-gun nonsense. And people simply aren't using common sense. Again, if people apply some common sense to these things, most police do not get involved with crimes until after the crime has taken place. And so essentially your options are to stop the crime before it takes place by being in a position to intervene on your own behalf, or if you survive and are healthy enough, to report it to the police after the crime takes place. Black people, unfortunately, in Chicago, in my opinion, have been so beat down and bamboozled by this process that we just sit around like bumps on laws. When I talk to people, most people agree that these laws need to be changed. Yet at the same time, the people I'm talking to don't seem to make a lot of independent effort at getting involved to help get these laws changed. They simply go along with it because that's the way things are. And we have been programmed, I would say, to believe that we essentially have no rights, and people going to do whatever they feel like doing, and what we think, we don't really have any say-so about it, so what we think really doesn't matter. And therefore, we don't attempt to try and get these things changed because we think it doesn't matter anyway. I contend that it does matter.
Gimbu, right now you're about 20 blocks from Hyde Park, which is where Barack's Chicago home. Barack is a Chicagoan, if you will. His home was only 20 blocks from you. You would think, do you think the President of the United States can come back to Chicago and end this gun violence?
Well, they can stop it if they chose to. I think it's a choice not to stop this kind of thing. I think that the government made the decision a long time ago to allow the proliferation of drugs in the black community, and I think once black people's heads were screwed up enough to also allow a certain amount of degree of proliferation of guns within the black community. In the 1960s, I think we knew who to shoot at. And so it was very difficult to get access to guns in. By the mid-1980s, they were dumping guns in the black community by having boxcars full of guns, leaving them in poor black neighborhoods, knowing good and well people going to break in them boxcars and steal whatever was in there out. They did this all over the country. This was not unique to Chicago. And so this was a way that they attempted to help arm the criminal element that's out here. All right, knowing good and well that these fools ain't got sense enough to know who to shoot at, so they only going to end up shooting at each other. With that kind of mindset, I think that in general that the general population, you know, is just in a mindset that they feel they can't do anything about it. They just have to go along with whatever the powers that be say.
Gimbu, you would agree that guns are not the problem here in Chicago. As it pertains to the African American community, we have a values problem. We have a lack of values. We have destabilized community. Not all of our communities, but too many African American neighborhoods are totally destabilized. The families destabilized. We have a values issue. Not a gun problem, but a values problem. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that 110%. It's not the guns. For example, in places like Cuba, all men are part of the national militia. They're all required to have fully automatic weapons in the house at all times. I think the same thing is true in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. That all men are part of the national militia. All men are required to have fully automatic assault rifles in the house at all times. They aren't going around shooting people up and acting crazy. So it's not the presence of guns. It is a screwed up mindset. A few weeks ago back in Country Club Hills, I think there were 5 murders in 1 week, and guns weren't used in any of them. You know, 2 people choked, 3 people stabbed, or something like that. So people don't have to have a gun. It is the messed up mindset. It's the mindset that says that black people have no value, and therefore to kill a black person is not really a crime because we're basically worthless anyway. This is what we've been taught, to the point that some of us now believe this and want to go acting this stuff out. And so as long as there's a mindset that says that N-words ain't blank. Everybody knows what I'm saying. And that we have no value, then therefore it is essentially viewed as okay to kill us or do whatever people want to do to us because we're essentially viewed as useless anyway. And it's a sad commentary that we feel this way about each other, but unfortunately, this is the results of that instructional containment. This is the results of the idea that we are what we have been told we are. That, in other words, when I talk about that instructional containment, when I talk about that falsified consciousness, that we will be who we have been taught to be. That the males can choose between being an N-word and a thug and a pimp and a gangster and all this kind of thing, but don't be like Malcolm X. Don't be like Frederick Douglass. Don't be like Martin Delaney. Don't be like a Farrakhan. Don't be any of those positive images, but you can choose from all the negative images you want. You can be a 50 Cent on the one hand or a Clarence Thomas on the other hand, and it doesn't matter because all of them work for the forces of white supremacy. All of them are about supporting and promoting that kind of idea and mindset, and therefore it doesn't matter which of those images you choose from as long as you remain within the box that's been set out for us. And so as long as we have adopted the same kind of anti-black attitudes that many of the racist elements in this country have and have taught us that we have bought into, then unfortunately a lot of black people feel the same way about other black people as racist white people feel about black people.